when you hear things in 2023, such as Vision 2089, definitely you will know that there is nothing worth a penny, not even a penny, in whatever vision it is. I'm talking about some of those crap that majority of African leaders come up with. We are about to watch a video, and it is that of a high commissioner. He has some, questions, and he has some projections, some visions. But what he said, one will wonder, how is this possible? And we are talking about interconnectivity with Africa. As you all know, it is more expensive to travel in Africa, from one country to the other, than it is in the European Union. Business-wise, things are not the way it's supposed to be. Africa need to build up that block. They might belong to ECOWAS, that's the West African side of it, or whatever association or group that they created. But there is something called African Union. And this union is meant and supposed to foster that solidarity and to build up. But unfortunately, it seems majority of them do not respect themselves. They do not love themselves. They come up with this bogus vision and they are ready to lay with the Western power. Talking about the Western power, all of this is coming from, not because it's not been there, it's all coming from the coup in Niger, or let's call it revolution in Niger. It kind of opened the eyes of a lot of people to Africa rather than their own country. People are beginning to see the corruption, looting, evil, wickedness, I often want to call it wickedness, in their own country. Amongst those I want to call rulers rather than leaders. They've started seeing the cooperation of these wicked people and that of foreign parasites. France is a colonial master. They colonized Niger and many other countries, and they are not ready to leave. Julius Malema has an answer to what this Nigerian representative said. Let us listen, but before we proceed, like and share this video, subscribe to this channel.
My name is Muhammad Haruna Manta. I'm the High Commissioner of Nigeria. The second question I wish to ask is on the basis of economic integration, the world is seen as a global village. Whether from the west or from the east, the emphasis I thought for Africa should be who will be our trading partner, and not the very radical posture of the socialist concept, which probably was very relevant in the after the Berlin Conference, 1880-something, 1884-85. But today, we don't have colonialism to fight as such, because the whole of Africa has been decolonized. South Africa is independent, Namibia is independent, and so is the whole African continent, with the exception of probably some aggression against Western Sahara. So is it not time that EFF takes a posture that is more inclusive of development concepts rather than imaginary fighting colonialists that do not exist in any way? Because the interest of the world is more virtually focused on how do I develop on the economic concept, how do I attract. Sometimes the development economists call it foreign direct investment, FDI. How do I attract that? So I would like to know what the EFF thinks about the economic integration of the African continent, as well as what the AU has done in promulgating or forming the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, as well as the 2063 agenda. Thank you.
This thing of territorial threats, we know them here. We've got an army base here in Botswana. What is America doing here in Botswana? Why is Africa not in American borders? What do you call that? And you come and say imperialism and colonialism is finished. When people expand their territorial expansion through putting military bases at our borders, There's a military base here. A study has been conducted that a fighter jet that moves from that army base to the Union building will not take less than 2 minutes to bomb the Union building. If a war is declared with America, America does not have to assemble any resource from Washington or anywhere else to come here. They are already here. What do you call that? It's democracy. It's free world. We must celebrate that and say, no, imperialism is no longer there. It's in our head. We understand what Putin is fighting against because we have it here. Here. What is it doing here? We never went to Asia. We never went to Europe. We never went to America. We are here. We don't establish bases anywhere. Why should you establish bases in military bases in our continent? And when we speak, it's called old-fashioned politics, that they are out of fashion. There's no such a thing as imperialism. When imperialism is breathing on our neck, yeah, we're not going to allow that. We are going to expose that American military base here all the time in the platforms we get and educate our people that this is exactly what Putin is fighting against. America will not allow that. That Russia must go and establish a military base in Cuba with missiles facing the USA. They won't allow that. So we must not be allowed, we must not be asked to accept the things that you will not accept.
Comrade Malema is always on point. He has made it clear, and one would wonder, unless you don't think, why is there no foreign observer from Africa when the European Union or the United States of America are conducting elections? That's one. Is it because Africans have shown to the world that they are irresponsible and they need to be, they need to be tutored, they need to be led? I believe all of this stems from the wickedness of certain groups of people, and this is made possible by the West working hand in hand with them. Not just that alone. Have you ever thought of any African country or the African Union having a military base in the West, either in any of the European countries or in the United States of America? Why should there be a military base owned by these countries in Africa? As Malema explained, he reiterated it and he made it clear. It is simply a portion of that country in your country. What is allowed by law and common sense is to have your embassy in a country or countries outside of your own. That is acceptable. But having a military base, accepting military base because you've been promised some goodies, you've been promised some aid. Look at France and look at Niger. Niger owns uranium. According to the report, the uranium is sold at $218 per gram, and $11 is being brought back to Niger. And Niger would open their arms to collect aid, funds from France or from the European Union. How does that make sense? How does that make sense? I am not in support of bloodshed, but what happened in Niger shows that revolution is here. Like and share this video, subscribe to this channel. See you in the next update.